Welcome to the Basketball Wales podcast, where we find out a little bit more about what goes on in the Basketball Wales community. Croeso I Pod Pêl-Fasged. I'm Jon Bunyan, and today we are joined by the newly appointed Basketball Wales Chief Medical Officer, Mr. Stuart Roy.
Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to Basketball Wales podcast. Today I have the pleasure of introducing the recently appointed Chief Medical Officer for Basketball Wales, Mr. Stuart Roy. Morning, Stuart.
Morning, John.
How are you doing? Okay.
Yeah, good, thank you.
Thanks for joining us this morning. I thought it was a great opportunity to get you on and tell us a little bit about your role with Basketball Wales and get some views and advice for our players and coaches out there. So, let's get straight into it. Stuart, if you don't mind, can you just tell us a little bit about your medical background, and then maybe go on? I know you've got quite a prolific sporting history and background yourself. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that as well.
Thanks, John. Well, I'm a consultant orthopaedic surgeon. I'm based at the Royal Glamorgan Hospital in Llantrisant, and I've been there 15 years now, but there was 10 years of training to get to that point. Yes, I do have an interest in sporting injuries, and that's part of my practice, as well as the bread and butter of orthopaedics and trauma that comes through the doors at Royal Glam. I'm also in the private sector involved with a group of like-minded surgeons who share an interest in sporting injuries and the holistic approach to both the athletes and the orthopaedic patients in general. I've taken time off during my career to pursue sport, so I know how important it is to young men, women, children alike, and how difficult it is during current times to try and get sport back on the pitch, so to speak. As being a chief medical officer for basketball, I don't really have any huge experience in sort of overarching roles, but I think I have enough experience in sporting injuries. I've looked after Pontypridd Rugby Club on the medical side since I finished playing for 15 years, so I do have knowledge of pitch side care. But I think, like the rest of us, we're all learning as we go along. I've been listening to the news this morning, things change every week as far as COVID is concerned, so I'm learning as we go here as well.
Okay, interesting, I suppose, in that two different things I wanted to cover with you there. The fact that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and I guess you and the NHS are at the front line, and I guess that's quite a difficult situation for you to be in at the moment.
It is. It's frustrating in some respects as an orthopaedic surgeon, because for the elective sides, for instance, doing someone's meniscal tear, I've not done that since last March in Royal Glam. We've been running a safe COVID trauma service, but the girls and boys on the wards, my ITU and intensivist colleagues have absolutely been bashed for the last 10 months. And I've been helping out proning patients and deproning patients on ITU, and they're the people that really need to be looked after now and going forward. It's going to take a long time to get over this. And as they've said on the news this morning, I think unfortunately COVID's with us forever, so it's something we're going to have to learn to live with. Yeah. But I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. Numbers are coming down in the community, and I'm certainly seeing numbers coming down in the hospital. So I'm remaining very positive and trying to pass that message on to my family.
Good, that's good to know. But I think on behalf of Basketball Wales, thanks to you and your colleagues for what you do. It must be very tough for you. Just moving on to the sporting side of things then. Obviously, you've mentioned there, you touched on the fact that you played a little bit of rugby yourself. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about that, your rugby background?
John, you don't get cauliflower ears playing basketball. But I played basketball in school, and it was self-taught to start with. It was something we did in the lunch break, and then our school team got through to the North Wales Cup final and got knocked out by D-side, who had basically 6 future professionals attached to Manchester United playing for them. But I was very passionate about all sports. I think if you're 6'6" at an early age and show an interest, you get thrown into everything. But rugby was certainly something I was very interested from a very young age, and I was fortunate to represent my country through all age groups and play for some great clubs like Pontypridd, Cardiff, and Crawshays, etc.
Yeah. Great stuff. And again, your medical involvement with Pontypridd is, I'm sure, has been an interesting journey as well since you finished playing. And I guess you've been. It's nice to still be involved with the club and have that sort of support that you can offer them.
Yeah, I've done a bit of coaching as you do with basketball. It is a way of keeping in touch, but certainly the medical side, you're still in the changing room smelling that deep heat on a Saturday and hearing all the stories and the banter, and it's a real pleasure to be involved with such a family orientated, community spirited club. You know, my heart's still with Cardiff as well, as that's where I played most of my rugby, but it makes sense working in Royal Glam to be helping out with Pontypridd, the local club.
Yeah, sure. I had a little spell there myself, and I've got to say it's probably the best club I've ever been involved in. So it certainly has that community spirit, and
it does.
yeah. Okay, thanks for that. Just moving on then, I think we want to talk to you about, obviously stick with the pandemic topic at the moment. It's very difficult for players and coaches to sort of keep engaged at the moment. So how important is the mental health side of things at this moment in time?
Well, I mean, I see it in my own house, you know, for the younger generation in particular. I mean, if you're working, it's one thing, you go off to work, but, you know, two of my children are based at home, and it's so hard. And I think sport is, I've always maintained sport is such an important outlet. You know, I think you do achieve things better academically if you're doing sport and other things. You can't just do one thing. So I think it's the online platform. It's having fun together. It's the quizzes, all the other stuff I've seen going over Zoom for the last 9 months. You know, we're fortunate in Wales. We've got lots of outdoors, so there's no reason why people can't still train. But obviously, you want to train with your team and you want to play, don't you? That's still, you know, training's one thing, but you want to be able to compete, and that's the difficult thing that we have across the whole of the UK, across the whole world, really. And I think we have a moral duty to do it safely, as much as we all think, let's just get everyone back playing. You know, that there is that ethical issue of, you know, the lower down the divisions you play, the higher the injury rate, and then you're going to burden the NHS. And I've already told you, it's very tough inside hospitals at the moment. You don't want to go to hospital if you can help it. And I think we have that duty to the NHS as well as to players and families outside of the NHS.
Okay.
So, but I think, you know, coming into this role, the work that Steph and everyone's been doing at Cardiff Met and the protocols in place, I believe it's very, very safe. You know, I'm only aware of one contact in the Met Archers, for instance, and that was from a family contact. That wasn't from basketball. You know, basketball is a non-contact sport, isn't it? So it should be safe to be able to do.
Yeah, I think that's an important message, and I know obviously Cardiff Met with the women's team are the only team that's currently operating and playing and training at the moment. But when, you know, our community clubs do get back into action, I think that's an important message for them in terms of, you know, following those protocols to ensure that everyone's kept safe. Yeah,
it is. I mean, you know, they're bringing testing in to the WBBL, the top echelons, the elite aspect. That's not practical for all clubs. You know, clubs are going to have to accept that. But if they could just keep that fire burning, keep, you know, children and adults interested and keep them training, because, you know, I worry that for all sports like rugby, we're going to miss a generation because they're not playing, competing on a Saturday and a Sunday morning. But I think, you know, that's why we've got to have the elite level still playing and being visible on telly for people to watch. Yeah. Encourage all your players to watch, you know, the NBL in America and stuff. You know, we all watched Last Dance, I think, beginning of the last lockdown. You know, that was a great thing for me mentally, actually, watching Michael Jordan. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Very motivational.
Yeah, I've heard some great stories about even rugby coaches using that series on Netflix to motivate their players for other sports. So yeah, it resonates across lots of sports, doesn't it? So yeah, thanks for that. That's an important message. Just wanted to move on to sort of general sort of medical issues and the importance of you know, looking after yourself as a player in terms of sort of prehab and conditioning. What's your views on that?
Well, it's a chestnut that's been around for a long time, John. You'll have heard it in rugby. You know, you don't play your sport to get fit. You must get fit to play your sport. Mm. The fitter you are and better conditioned you are, the better you're able to apply your skill set. Now, it's classic in basketball. Everyone goes shooting and dribbling and everything else. But to be able to apply that in a game, you've got to be fit and you've got to be safe to play. And the injury rate goes down. Okay. You know, there are more and more young children hurting their anterior cruciate ligaments because more and more children and girls in particular are participating in sport, and it's so important that they are rehabbed properly by all the clubs involved.
Okay.
You know, you can't turn up to a club and just run around on the pitch and start playing basketball. You're going to pull hamstrings. You're going to do stuff. You've got to warm up properly. All the messages that apply. You know, but I think looking at sport like football and cricket, even in the past, in the 70s and 80s, I don't think there was much conditioning going on. I think we've taken all this from athletics, and I think we need to take a lot of what athletics can offer across the board to all sports.
Okay. So going back to what you just said about taking this opportunity in our lockdowns to keep active, this is a great chance for players to work on that aspect of their conditioning, I guess. So.
And there's plenty. I've not looked closely at what's available basketball-wise, but certainly because my daughter's involved in netball, the Australian Netball Association have got fantastic stuff online about rehab and returning from injury, and also preventing ACL injuries in particular, which is one of the things you're going to do in basketball is either your knee, your ankle, occasionally your shoulder when you fall on it. So they're the common things, and they're the things you need to look after. So there's lots of stuff out there on the web to look at.
Okay. Yeah, I think on that front then, with regards to sort of your connection with other sports, do you have any other sort of colleagues in the medical world that you can consult with who are linked with other national governing bodies?
Well, I know people like Brian Davis from Sport Wales through rugby, but again, it's difficult because you're working hard and trying to look after your family. I've not tapped into all those resources, but I know I could touch base with people and get hold of that. Go rolling things out after COVID settles down. We can maybe do more on the Welsh basketball website. Put more resources out there. As I said, this is a role I'm growing into, and I'm happy to be told as well. But I think with COVID, we're all learning things together. But that's certainly something we can look forward to doing going forward for Welsh basketball.
I've heard you're a very well-connected man, so I'm sure you've got lots of contacts and people you can speak to. So good luck with that. Yeah, just sort of moving on slightly to your connections with basketball. Obviously, your daughter is heavily involved in basketball, so I guess that is something that sort of not pushed you into the role, but certainly helped to sort of persuade you to undertake the role.
Yeah, I've been on the journey. Yeah, so have you, John. Thank you very much. Starting in school with one of her teachers, and she's just something I think she had a great passion for from an early age, and it's good to see her get the opportunity to play on a bigger stage now. So very, very proud of her.
Good. And
yes, pleased to be involved, and it makes it easier, doesn't it? If someone in the family's involved as well, it keeps you involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's worth mentioning that Caris was selected in the GB under-16 long squad earlier last year, so congratulations for that. So we'll watch with interest to see how that progresses. So I know you've got two other children who are very into sport as well and very talented. So I'm sure your life is very busy as and when sort of activities get up and running again.
We're low on mileage at the moment, but yes. When it gets back to normal, we'll only be complaining about the amount of time we spend in the car again.
Yeah, but you love it really, though.
Oh, I do, yeah.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, thanks, Stuart, for joining us today. I think it's a significant appointment to Basketball Wales, and certainly sends a message to the Basketball Wales community and certainly the other home nations that there's a massive commitment from Basketball Wales to sort of look after its players.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're very much in good hands with yourself at the helm. So yeah, good luck in your role.
Yeah, thanks, John. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much.